Yo, ladies and gentlemen, it's NBA Central, the odd couple back, the young bull and the OG. It is Stevo speaks and my big bro Kev. Hey man, it's not too much news going around, but we got a little fun video today. We're gonna talk about who had the highest peaks, but we ain't gonna get into it just yet. We're gonna play that music first.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
Yeah. Like I said, it's been a little low week on news, but that don't mean no videos is coming out. We gonna find a way to make some videos, and when you browse on Twitter for long enough, you find some interesting topics, and that's what we did today. So I was browsing on Twitter, as just looking for ideas or stuff I could flip into videos and stuff. And this picture popped up, and it says, "Who had the highest peak at their point?" And I was like, "Ooh, that's a good one." Like you can make an argument for a lot of them. So first, big Kev, as you can see, we got Carmelo Anthony, Paul Pierce, Tracy McGrady, and Paul George. Now, all of them is kind of respectively in this picture in their, I will say, quote unquote, physical prime. So I see what they was doing there. But first, I want to get first before we get straight into it. Is this conversation even warranted? I believe so, but yeah.
I mean, it's warranted because all four of these guys, like they influence basketball in a good way. In terms of like keeping eyes on the game, right?
Yeah.
So like when you think about Paul George, we talked about him a couple of weeks ago and what he did in Indiana, what he was able, he's still able to do in the NBA currently. Of course, we know Melo had a huge effect on the game. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he was definitely one of the last of a dying breed in terms of just a pure scorer. And of course, Paul Pierce and T Mac, who in my opinion are the two who really need to be discussed between the two of them is the highest peak because Paul Pierce, man, he carried that Celtics team for years and years before he ended up getting KG and Ray Allen and Rajon Rondo and that championship run that they had and also the subsequent runs to Eastern Conference Finals or championship games. So he definitely had a super duper high peak. Considering that Paul Pierce came into this league and got stabbed up and still played 82 games,
Yeah.
um, that was crazy.
Paranoid and all.
Yep, and the fact that he was, a 10-time All Star, he done had a couple of first team All NBAs and so on and so forth. P Double was definitely the truth, man. But in my opinion, the one who had the highest peak was T Mac, scoring championships. Just from an individual standpoint, obviously winning a championship for Paul Pierce is the highest peak, correct? But other than that, from an individual standpoint, man, T Mac was up there with Kobe at his peak, in his prime. And Kobe himself has gone on record lauding T Mac's skill set and ability. So out of all four of these guys, it's hard for me not to choose Melo because Melo definitely had a super high peak in terms of scoring, especially in Denver. But man, I got to go with T Mac, man. Especially that Magic T Mac. He carried them to their first playoff run in a long time. They went up 3-0 or 3-1 or whatever the first year that the leagues decided to make the first round 7 games. If he didn't have back problems, man, we'd be having different conversations about T Mac.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a valid point. I can't even lie about that for sure. Mac definitely did his thing. He had a great peak, probably one of the greatest peaks we've seen in this league for sure. When I got this question posed to me, the first thing I asked was, "Are we talking from a career standpoint or an individual standpoint?" Because if we talking career, obviously it's Paul Pierce. Out of everybody on this list, he done won a championship. He done won the most games. He's been in the most winning situations, and that just is what it is. He's probably the most winning player out of all three. Um, so yeah, if it comes to success, then as a career, I'm picking Paul Pierce. A lot of people A lot of people said Mac, but the only reason I'm not putting Mac is because I feel like Melo's peak lasted longer. And like you said, he ran through a lot of um situations. Yeah, you can make the case. Yeah, he averaged in the NBA where it's not normal for it at that time. He averaged 32. Mac did. Mac did average 32. Got two scoring championships, which are great. But to me, I found it a little bit more impressive seeing Melo winning a scoring title in 2013, which is like his second stint of his career. And I look at Melo as like three phases because he had like three phases with three different teams. He played well. He played great as a Nugget. He played great as a Nick. He also played well enough. He didn't play his best, but he played pretty good basketball as an OKC Thunder. So to me personally, I'm putting the who had the best peak to me is Melo just because of longevity.
I mean, I can understand that, and it's a lot. Like I said, all of these guys influenced basketball over the last 20 years in positive ways. Um, like I said, T Mac, man, like even the Houston Rockets T Mac, who had to deal with an injured Yao Ming consistently. That man, what was that, 18 points in 40 seconds or something like that he did against the Spurs. I'll never forget that. I've shown that video to my 12-year-old, and he remembers it like he was there now. Like he can't believe what he saw. The way this dude was hitting threes, getting and one threes, and it was just crazy to see that. And that was peak T Mac right then and there. Like the fact that his team was down double digits with less than a minute to go, and they still came back to win that game because he put them on his shoulders. And again, he wasn't able to get over the mountaintop. He even came close to winning the championship until Ray Allen hit that three on the Spurs. So he's a Hall of Famer, man, and I just my
Yeah,
appreciation for Mac just extends beyond real life. It also goes to 2K. Like 2K T Mac was something else. He was
I
he
ain't
was
like playing the bastard.
he was damn near like a creative player. Him and Carmelo Anthony. Like my little brother Tim used to play with them, both of them. He played with T Mac and then he transitioned to Carmelo and he gave me buckets with both of them to the point where I damn near didn't even want to play 2K no more against him.
Yeah, yeah.
How effective he was with both of those players. So I can understand the T Mac argument and the Melo argument.
Yeah, and then that's the only thing. Like, you could definitely make the argument, like the stats show. Like, you could honestly make the argument that T Mac had the highest peak. But just for the sake of conversation, I'm gonna pick Melo because I'm personally more of a Melo fan. But like to be honest, those two you really just they're neck and neck. When you
Yep.
look at their career, they're really just neck and neck. I will well if you're talking a winning standpoint, Melo got him. In the accolade standpoint, I feel like Matt got him. He has two scoring championships along with a most improved. So
Hmm.
you got to give him that credit. I
And
do
he's
want
a
to talk. I do want to talk about these other two. I just don't want to leave them off the list because people. I know there's going to be some people out here that put Paul George and Paul Pierce. Now, when we talking about a talent standpoint, okay, Paul George is probably up there. When it comes to talent, they could be next to T Mac and Melo. I don't know. T Paul Pierce was very talented. Don't get me wrong, he was very talented.
still is.
But one thing we all knew coming into this league when it came to Mac, Paul Jordan, and Melo, not only can they score the ball, but they was gonna put on the show athletically as well. So we all know the dunks from T Mac. We know the type of a bully Melo was, and we know the 360s, the tomahawks that Paul George would get in, and they also played. And Paul George also played defense. I had somebody try to tell me, "Tomorrow Melo isn't the best defensive player." I'm like, he better than Mac at playing defense though.
I mean, I don't necessarily know too tough about that. Cause like Melo, he definitely took defense. That was like not even just secondary. Like it was,
Yeah,
he was a scorer. He
yeah.
wasn't even really thinking about defense. Paul George is the best defender on this
On this
on
comp,
this
yeah, for
right
sure.
out of the four of these guys. Paul George took and still takes defense very seriously. All these other guys are retired. I don't remember Paul Pierce being a great defender. Or
He was in that conversation with Melo where it was time he could.
But
but
T Mac played D though. Mac played
he
D,
did, but like
and he
it
was
was
the
all,
he
but
was in.
it's just like he was like had the mentality like everybody else. Why put my heart out in defense when I could give you 30?
Or 40. And he scored, he played in a defensive era though. Like when Mac was playing, teams were barely scoring 100 points
Yeah,
a game. Whereas, the rest of these guys kind of exceeded that era in a sense where Paul George is still currently playing and you got teams
hmm
putting up 120. Melo just retired and, Paul Pierce retired like 3-4 years ago. So you're
yeah.
looking at players that played in the defensive era and then they made it through the transition to the offensive era as well.
You
Uh,
got the best of both worlds,
exactly.
bro.
Young guy. Oh man,
But
Hannah
yeah,
Montana.
but yeah, that's really Paul George is one of them rare people that we should take advantage of and pay attention that he was that dude that was in the mixture between where the NBA shifted more offensively. And there's a lot of players that I'm starting to pay attention to that was in his around his class, like the '08, '09, '10 era, that was in that time where they was in the transition between the heavy defensive, some would say hacking league versus to the super offensive league. So yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was really just the conversation I wanted to have. Just to pose the conversation. Of course, I'm excited to hear the people in the comments what they think. I feel like it's gonna be crazy. I'm pretty sure we're gonna hear Paul Pierce. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see a PG because hey, we got some our audience go from young to old. So I'm
Hmm.
excited to hear. Even if y'all have some other topics, even some other if y'all could come up with 4 other people, hey, put it down there. I'll be willing to talk about it. These some of my favorite conversations. But yeah, man, let us know how you feel down below. Like, subscribe, like all the Central family. We doing big things over here, so y'all make sure you do it. The Bears, White Sox, and Cubs with Big Bro over there. Chicago Bulls podcast, my boy C Dub and Bobby Hayes over there with Bulls Central. We killing it. Hey man, we gonna check in y'all with another video. Make sure y'all stay tuned. Yeah.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.